Welcome back, everyone, to the Italian Film Podcast. I have my iced coffee here, and I'm ready to talk to you about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. The movie is out. The movie is probably going to smash the North American box office. Is gonna smash the box office pretty much everywhere, I believe, or at least in the majority of the world. But since it's final here, I think it's fair to discuss the final reckoning, but as well the whole saga. So I'm gonna basically, my idea is to avoid any spoiler whatsoever. I'm going to avoid any single spoiler, but I'm going to have a tier list of the whole saga. So I'm gonna speak in general term of the whole saga, and since I'm here, I'm gonna talk as well about the final reckoning. So I'm gonna, let's say, review the movie. I'm gonna share my thoughts on this final episode of Mission Impossible, or at least the final episode with Tom Cruise, because I think Ethan Hunt is done for the time being. So I don't think Tom Cruise is gonna jump in another adventure anytime soon. I think he reached the end of the line, at least for an Ethan Hunt played by himself. So this is it. So let's talk about this. As I said, no spoiler. I'm gonna go through a tier list, and at some point I'm gonna mention the final reckoning and going to talk about it. So let's start. I do believe Mission Impossible with Ethan Hunt. I believe Tom Cruise, he managed to create the ultimate spy. This is my thoughts. I believe, according to my own taste, that he's the best spy in movies. He's the ultimate spy in movies, because even 007, he never managed to get this spectacular. He never managed to be this reckless in the stunts, in the actions. Ethan Hunt is basically a superhero at this point, not because he has special abilities or because he does stuff that are beyond any human capabilities. When you watch those kind of movie, you have a certain degree of let's say illusion about the word. So you're gonna take very over the top scene as possible scene, because this is the mood of those movies. But in comparison, 007 looks like, I don't know, a kindergarten teacher. And the thing is that he's I don't know, he's connected with a poetry, let's say, of his character. The way his character is built, it doesn't resonate with me. But with Ethan Hunt, I think the myth of Ethan Hunt is way stronger, because it's this spy living in the shadow, trying to save the world every time, and he has this morality that is very solid, and he's a savior for this of the world, of the whole world, and his morality is very strong. He is the kind of guy that always managed to save the day, and in the process it's also very careful about the people that he loves, about his team, and it's an incredible character. I love it. And plus, I believe the level of action that Tom Cruise managed to reach with the latest installment of Mission Impossible, it's beyond anything that 007 in this saga even attempted. So I believe he is the ultimate spy. Ethan Hunt is unmatched so far. So, but I want to start with the tier list. So let's start from the bottom and let's go slowly to the top. I believe that Mission Impossible 2 is it's definitely my least favorite Mission Impossible. So it's that at the very base of the pyramid, and I believe as a movie in the Mission Impossible franchise, it doesn't work. It was directed by John Woo, so according to the information that I recall about the production, Tom Cruise pushed a lot to have John Woo as the producer, as the director of Mission Impossible 2. And I believe the reason was because he wanted to push forward his idea of the action movies in Hollywood. So he wanted to get as closer as he could to the Hong Kong cinema that John Woo and other were basically doing in that moment in time. But the problem is that the revolution wasn't possible because in Hollywood they didn't have the same people and the same way of work that they had in Hong Kong. So basically the kind of action that was possible in Hong Kong wasn't possible in Hollywood. And so Mission Impossible 2 is kind of weak. Speaking of action, it's very over the top, and in some instances is kind of dumb. He's over the top. I mean, not dumb, but very ridiculous. I believe in even taking in consideration the suspension of disbelief, it doesn't work. I mean, to me, it's always a little bit too much. Even taking in consideration the kind of cinema that John Woo does. I love John Woo, but in Mission Impossible 2, I believe he's not doing what he's supposed to do. And I believe as well, if I go back in time and I try to pinpoint when Mission Impossible 2 was released, it was basically that moment in time when Matrix was out, if I remember correctly, has been already released, and as that everybody was trying to basically go way over the top with action. I remember Charlie's Angels, another movie adaptation from a TV show. They made that movie with a lot of stuff took from the Matrix as a style, and it didn't make any sense. Because, I mean, in Matrix there was a very good reason to have that kind of action over the top. But in Charlie's Angels, it didn't make any sense. It was just basically, oh, let's try to mirror Matrix because this is the way we're going to succeed with this movie. No, it doesn't work like that. The Matrix was a whole thing, and it worked very well because the whole thing had its own charisma, had its own the pacing of the story, the way it was built, everything was working with those new technique for action in Hollywood. But with Charlie's Angels and as well with Mission Impossible 2 and other movies in that period was just weird. And I believe the movie doesn't work. Plus, it's also very macho. The Ethan Hunt is like, I don't know, it's kind of silly, and he has this sort of Ethan girl. In 007 we have the Bond girl, here we have the Ethan girl. And the way it's described, the whole thing, it's like, it's not that enthusiastic. It's like, it's kind of annoying. At some point it's kind of obnoxious as a film, as the way it progresses and the way it's kind of in a way dramatic, but not in a nice way, but kind of in a ridiculous way. I don't know. I think the whole thing, they tried to go for something very new and it didn't work out. And so I believe that it's the worst Mission Impossible in the saga. It's the one that basically it kind of take a path that is very different from any other Mission Impossible and doesn't fit with everything else done in the saga. After that, we have Mission Impossible 3 by J.J. Abrams. I don't love that movie. What I love about that movie, it's Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's amazing. I think in the movie he's fantastic. Because there is a scene. I mean, as a villain, he's very vicious. He's vile. It's very impressive as a villain. And at some point, he does something amazing because there is this scene when basically Ethan, he takes his place, so he takes his mask, and since the device for mirroring the voice, is not ready. He's coughing. He's trying to take time by having this cough. And the gesture that he does, it's Philip Seymour Hoffman, of course, acting, but he's mirroring Tom Cruise, the way he moves, the way that the gesture that he does, the kind of intensity, and he's amazing. He's very good. But anyway, Philip Seymour Hoffman is stunning. I like the idea that they basically expanded the team, so they introduced Simon Pegg, as Benji, and he's amazing. But everything else about the movie, it doesn't work. I don't think it works. I think J.J. Abrams he did a good job in a way, because it was his directorial debut, if I remember correctly, at least in a feature-length kind of production. But I don't like the photography. I don't like the color correction, those super saturated color. I don't like the way direct action. It's very confusing. You don't read the action very well. I don't like the fact that it's an old Hollywood. It's a very kind of old Hollywood style of movies where Ethan is trying to retire. He's basically spending time in this amazing mansion, not mansion, but the American dream. So the nice yard, the kids and the wife, and everything is white and is amazing. I don't know. It doesn't resonate. I mean, it's Mission Impossible. You're not supposed to have your main character going for the American dream. This is not what's about. It's a old way of Hollywood of basically describing a character arc that he has to end up in that way, and it's very silly and it's very annoying and it's not that interesting, and the ending doesn't make any sense. I mean, to me, the ending, it's super cringy. I mean, this is no spoiler. It's not a major plot point. I'm not spoiling how the movie ends. I'm spoiling this scene where everybody says, in the IMF, everybody's saying, waving to Ethan, bye bye, hi, enjoy. It's dumb. It's kind of dumb. I mean, that ending to me, it's kind of stupid. I don't like it. I believe the movie, it's kind of it's the perfect film to close a moment in time for Hollywood, because after Mission Impossible 3, I believe that Tom Cruise took charge of the whole thing as a producer, and he started to look for a new how can I say that, he starts to look for a new way to produce Hollywood movies, speaking of action, and he's looking to basically change the way Hollywood basically looks at those action movies. He's trying something new. He wants something different. And I believe he succeed if Tom Cruise did something that nobody else was doing and nobody else has done, because he was doing his own stunts and doing something crazy way before Keanu Reeves started to work on John Wick. And I mean, Keanu Reeves, even in The Matrix, he was already super involved in everything about the choreography and everything, but the level of commitment that Tom Cruise has in those movies, it's insane. So I believe that Mission Impossible 3 has a great villain, has a decent story, but I don't know, it's not a good Mission Impossible overall. And it's basically a movie that aged badly in the way, because it has that vision of the American dream and everything else, but was something that was already dying as a concept in the movie, in even describing a character. So I think it's very outdated. Then we have a movie that I believe it's very good, that it's Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol by Brad Bird. I love that movie. I believe Brad Bird, from The Invincible, from Pixar, he jumped into live action movies, and I believe he did a great job. Brad Bird did a great job in directing this movie, and in a way, he kind of, I believe, was kind of the first big bet that Tom Cruise decided to do after J.J. Abrams and previously John Woo. So he tried to bet on another director to have the kind of dynamism that he had on The Incredibles. He believed in Brad Bird. From what I perceive from the movie, I think he believed a lot in him, and I think that in a way he succeed, because we have that amazing scene with the Burj Khalifa. We have that amazing scene of him running away from that sandstorm. We have so many great scenes in Ghost Protocol. It's a very good movie. It works. I believe it works. And I believe it's the new season for the franchise, but at the same time, it's a new season in Hollywood. At least that's what Tom Cruise is trying to do. He's trying to kickstart a new season for the action movies in Hollywood, and almost nobody followed him, but he made a great, impressive movie, and it's a very good effort. And I love Ghost Protocol. I believe it's fantastic. Even the team, there's Benji again. The team is expanding, and I believe it works, and it works very well. I don't like the villain. I don't like that much the mission itself, the story, but here we have something that it's crucial in the Mission Impossible franchise. I mean, they are redefining Ethan Hunt as the ultimate spy. So the idea of this sort of silent guardian, and the ending of Mission Impossible, it's very powerful. I believe, speaking of this kind of philosophy that they want to bring with this new Mission Impossible era, and I believe it works amazingly well. Now, sorry about that. We have in the same spot Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning and The Final Reckoning. So I believe that's where they stand in the saga, and I put them in the same spot. Those are both directed by Christopher McQuarrie, and I put both of them here because I think I can't basically say, okay, Dead Reckoning, it's way better than The Final Reckoning, and so Dead Reckoning goes here and The Final Reckoning goes here. I think you can't basically, it's like Kill Bill, Volume 1 and Volume 2. I don't think that was the general idea, but I believe this is the final result. I mean, the movie, it's split in two movies, but while I was watching The Final Reckoning, it was pretty clear that it was basically the second half of a huge movie. Even if it's 170 minutes long, you see that clearly it's a second half of a huge story. It's not like, okay, yes, it's continuing the story, but it can't kind of stand of its own. No, because the pacing of The Final Reckoning, it's different, and because narrative, it's very connected to the previous one, and because it's basically finishing up something that they started with Dead Reckoning, and it's reaching a point that was very important. It's basically they started a discussion about who Ethan Hunt is and what represents in the world of Mission Impossible, and what this challenge, this final challenge, represent to him and for him. And in this second movie, we're basically exploring what actually is all about. So you can't detach the two movies. And I believe that Reckoning was good, was very solid movie. It has that amazing stunt with him jumping from the motorcycle. It's insane. The level, it's insane. And I believe that with Christopher McQuarrie, Tom Cruise managed to find the perfect director to work with, because they're like in sync. I think they very like to work together, because I think they understand what they want to do, and they understand the kind of action that they want to give to the audience, the way they want to shoot it. And I think they work they're just a good fit, because if you go back, then we're going to talk again about Christopher McQuarrie. But I believe that when basically they met and they start to work on Mission Impossible, and then they have done Reacher together, you can see that the first Reacher movie, it's by Christopher McQuarrie as well. I don't think it's a very good Reacher movie. It's a decent movie. I think they tried to start a new saga for Tom Cruise, but it was less spectacular and more muscular. By this I mean way less VFX, way less set pieces with huge explosion stunt and stuff like that. More like in the mood of a spy thriller with action in it. There was more like about choreography and little stunt with car and shooting and stuff like that. But the general idea was to have more of a thriller than an action. But it was very about the camera work and the stunt work and the choreography. So I think they found each other pretty well. And in Dead Reckoning, they work amazingly well. And Dead Reckoning start a discussion about AI that basically I have seen just another person talk about AI in this way, and it's Hideo Kojima. Hideo Kojima in Metal Gear Solid was Sons of Liberty. He predicted basically perfectly everything that we are living right now, and nobody's giving him enough credit about it. And at the same time, with Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriot, that it's more similar to those last two Mission Impossible, he has talked about how AI could represent a huge issue, and how information and the way it can be basically tinkered with AI can be a major issue in our society, and how humans are very fragile in this new future. And here with Dead Reckoning and the Final Reckoning, for once Ethan Hunt is facing an invisible enemy, is not facing an actual, let's say, villain, but what he's facing is himself, the kind of decision he's going to take, the kind of his humanity is facing his humanity. He can't fail, he can't take the wrong decision, he has to be the kind of spy that does impossible things in order to defeat something that it's bigger than society itself, countries and whatever. This is not about our ideology, this is about survival of the human species. And it's insane, it's fantastic that the only one tackling this issue in cinema, it's Tom Cruise with Mission Impossible. And in the Final Reckoning, they talk about this. They talk about the accountability of humans. They talk about manipulation of information, because the first part of the movie, the first, 20, 30 minutes, are very exposition. It's exposition of what's going on in this movie and what they need to do in order to stop it from happening. And we see clearly how they see the world right now. I mean, we are not at that level, of course, this is a movie, but we are almost there. We have manipulation of truth, and truth is not the actual truth, it's whatever someone wants it to be. And with AI, you can manipulate truth in an insane way. And they are telling us this is gonna cost lives. This is going to cost our freedom. This is going to cost probably the survival of the human species, because we are kind of very predictable, because we can put one against the other pretty easily, and because with something very simple we can divide people. We can divide so easily people with stupid argument. We see right now we are super divided about everything and for the dumbest reason ever. And the final reckoning is talking about this, but it's talking about also about the idea of Ethan Hunt, who Ethan Hunt is. The whole time they talk about where we live in the shadow, we die in the shadow, and we do what we do in order to protect people that we will never met. And it's the greatest idea, principle for a spy ever. Because if you check 007, why he does what he does? He does because it's working for His Majesty. Now, of course, she passed away. She passed, so it's going to be for the king. But for ages, he was the spy protecting the United Kingdom, protecting the world. Not that much, but protecting basically. He was a very kind of how can you say that? He was super self-absorbed as well as a character. He was all about himself, about his vanity. Ethan Hunt is not that kind of spy. Ethan Hunt is about saving the world because he cared about that, because his idea of saving the world, saving his team, helping his team, it's what matters the most to him. And there is this poetry of the spy dying in the shadow at service of the greater good. And the greater good, he says that even in the movie, it's not about my country, your country, my ideology, your ideology. There is something bigger at stakes here. And we gotta do the right thing. And the right thing is that we gotta come together and not take in consideration country, whatever. And he does this for people that we're never going to meet. He does as well for his team, for the people he loved, but mostly for people he's never going to meet. He's a ghost. He's a shadow. He's acting in the shadow. Nobody will ever know that Ethan Hunt was the man who saved the world. No one will ever know. It's not that kind of story where at the end there is a speech with the president giving him a medal or whatever. He does what he does because he believes in that. He believes in something greater, and it's amazing. This is a true hero. This is the ultimate hero spy, because he's following principles that are not because of greed, are not because of vanity, are not because he wants to be famous or recognized or for his country or whatever. He's doing it because it's the right thing to do. Period. That's it. And I believe it's amazing the way they built the narrative surrounding Ethan Hunt. And I believe the things that I love is that they connected some of the old movies because they needed to also underline this thing that every single thing that he has done had an impact on someone or on something, on the world, and someone can put that under a negative, a dark light, but actually in the end, he has done everything in order to save the world. And he has give up everything in order to save the world. And it's not in a dramatic way. That's what he was born for. And there is a character, I'm not gonna spoil who he is, what he's doing or whatever, but there is an amazing speech at the end. And it's kind of Metal Gear-ish, because it's very kind of similar to what in the end we hear of Metal Gear Solid 2, if I remember correctly, Sons of Liberty, because in the end it's all about you gotta live your life, man. You save the world multiple times and you're not enjoying the world that you are saving. But I believe it's fantastic what they have done with Ethan, what they have done with the character, and what they have done with the movie. This is cinema, because at some point I think it's very brave. I believe it's very brave. They have done an action movie where at some point everyone shuts the hell out. No one is talking. Everybody shuts up. They zip it and we see just action. But when I say action, I'm not talking about gunfighting or just pure fighting. I'm talking about um, entire set piece where we see on screen Tom Cruise doing something impossible, and we are super tense while he's doing it, and basically we care about what he's doing. We of course, he's not going to fail, because it's not that kind of movie. Otherwise, what kind of movie is that? But anyway, you care about it. You are you are tense the whole time, and we see that when he goes underwater in that mission underwater that we see in the trailer as well. But we know it as well when he's flying on the plane. The whole part with the plane is fantastic. I believe is fantastic. It's amazing, because mostly now that we are going toward the future where studio want to basically, I don't know, this is a new level of stupidity. So basically use AI to make fake live action. It's beyond my understanding. This is what Ethan Hunt is fighting. He's fighting for this literally in the movie, but outside the movie as well, because I think it's the dumbest thing ever to basically have an AI to save money to make fake live action. What the hell is going on? It's very stupid. And Ethan Hunt is fighting for that as well in the movie, but outside the movie as well. When we see Tom Cruise investing years and years of his life and his career to make those two movies, because guys, he started Dead Reckoning, that it was the beginning of the pandemic, and he put his heart into this. I gotta be honest here. You can like or not like Tom Cruise, but the guy, Jesus, he's very driven and he's very competent in what he does, because clearly he knows what he's doing. It's very the effort, the dedication, and the love that he's putting into this. It's fantastic. I admire him very much, because this is love and dedication, and he believes in something and he's doing it. And he's like a real life Ethan Hunt, because he's unstoppable. He wasn't stopped by the pandemic. He wasn't stopped about the AI. He doesn't care. He just keeps running, and he's sharp and effective, and he's great. And I believe the final reckoning is the perfect conclusion with Dead Reckoning of the saga. I don't think as a whole, I mean, when I said before, we gotta take in consideration the whole thing as a Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2 as well. Here, you can't, I think, disconnect Dead Reckoning from the final reckoning. You gotta take in consideration the whole thing, because as I said, the final reckoning looks like the second half of the movie. It's like you finish that reckoning and you say, okay, this is the first half. I go to the toilet, I grab a new, I don't know, I make some more popcorn, and I sit down for the final reckoning. I'm gonna spend 6 hours watching it, but I'm gonna do it. But this is the thing. It's a whole thing. And as a whole thing, I believe there are other Mission Impossible that are better, if I think them as a whole operation as Mission Impossible. Also because at some point I think that a couple of things that could have been done differently, but I'm gonna talk about it in the end, in the spoiler section of this chunk of the episode. So in the end I'm gonna talk about it. But so far I believe they are not the best Mission Impossible. This is not the best Mission Impossible. I gotta be honest, I preferred Mission Impossible Rogue Nation by Christopher McQuarrie. It's also by Christopher McQuarrie. Here they start a collaboration, and I believe that here it's where Ethan Hunt start to turn into this very great hero for the action spy scene. this is where he gets consolidated into this character. It's a way more muscular movie, so way less of VFX, as less as possible, more set pieces with stunts and with fighting scene and with chasing. I think that that there is the scene with the plane, that it's fantastic, and there is the introduction of Rebecca Ferguson as a character. She's insane in the movie, because also speaking about the kind of girl that they put in those movies, to, let's say, the Ethan girl. Let's use this horrible definition. I know I don't have a different term, but basically those characters that they put in the movie, I believe they are way better than what we see in a 007 movie or in any other movie. Because first things first, the characters are more interesting. Here we're talking about a spy, and she's also a spy. She has an objective, she has a conflict with Ethan itself, and most likely, and the thing I love the most is that even the sensuality of the character, it's way more interesting than in other movies. For example, here we have that amazing scene in the opera theater. They're having the whole mission in the opera theater, and she has this yellow dress. She's fantastic. She goes she takes the sniper rifle, and she makes the movement with the dress where she put her leg on the wall in order to be in position to shoot with the sniper rifle. And there is a sensuality, but also a sense of danger in that scene that it's fantastic. It's very good. It's not over the top. It's not unnecessary, let's say, not safe for work kind of scene. It's a scene that I believe it works. It's a very good framing. It's because I believe actors are great and they can leave an impact in movies, even with gesture, with micro expression. That's what they do, and she's amazing in this scene. She's going to be amazing in the next movies, in the whole saga. She's a very great character. I love the character of Rebecca Ferguson in those movies because she's very dangerous, but she's also someone that Ethan cares about a lot. And I love the fact that in this movie they introduced the idea of the rogue nation, the syndicate, the sort of spectra, basically the Mission Impossible spectra, that this rogue nation agency, the anti-IMF. I love it. I think it works. I think the movie works. I think it's a great movie with a great action scenes, and I think it's a good movie. And I really stand by Rogue Nation as a movie, and I think it works very well. But we are close to the top, and just very close by to be the best Mission Impossible movie, we have, Mission Impossible by Brian De Palma, because I believe it's iconic, and I believe that even if it has been a while since it was released, but he hasn't aged that much. There are movies from that period in time that age quite a lot. Not the first Mission Impossible. I believe that it still works as a movie, because even the kind of spy movie that they're trying to make in the first Mission Impossible, it's more a thriller than an action. But the action scenes are very impressive. I mean, there is nothing iconic as Ethan coming down from the ceiling to steal the notch list. I mean, that is going to be forever in the history of cinema. It's fantastic. But I believe as well that the way the movie is paced. I mean, when they start their operation, and we see Tom Cruise in the mask for the first time, they've done something different here, because they actually put Tom Cruise in the mask. It wasn't just like that they took a character another actor playing, and then Tom Cruise stepped in with the special effect of the mask removing. No, it was actually, well, Tom Cruise in the mask. And it was interesting. For the time, it was very interesting. But the whole scene, it's in Prague, if I remember correctly, the first part of the movie. When we followed the guy with the notch list and getting killed, and the way the whole team gets basically obliterated, it's amazing. I think it has an element of tension and an element of thriller that it's unmatched in the Mission Impossible saga. Nobody is framing that kind of spy thriller as Brian De Palma in the first Mission Impossible. It's fucking amazing. As is amazing that the whole scene at the restaurant with Kittredge, there is the conversation at the table and the whole thing with the gum. It's fantastic. I mean, the movie it's impressive. Even if you watch it today, it's amazing. And I love it. It's insane. And one thing that I remember, and that now we don't do that much, is the way Brian De Palma used cinema to tell you, to give information to the audience. For example, there is a scene, I'm not gonna spoil what, where, when, but anyway, there is this scene with a character telling a story to Ethan. And the story told by the character and what Ethan is imagining are two different things. So in this way, we understand that Ethan does not believe the story is being told. And so in this way, there is a tension between the two characters, because we understand what Ethan is thinking and what the other character is trying to do. And it's something very simple. It's not that complex as a thing to do, but it works amazingly well. And now we don't see that level of grammar in movies that we see in what it can be defined as an action popcorn movie, as a Mission Impossible. But it's fantastic. And so I love Mission Impossible. I think it deserves to be in the top spot. And it's insane that the two follow-up are not that good. I mean, it's kind of insane. But the one that I prefer the most, the one that I love the most, is Fallout. Mission Impossible Fallout, I think it's in the top. I think it is the best Mission Impossible ever made, because I think that it works beginning to the end. I think it works as narrative. I think it works as stunts. I think it works as cinematography. I mean, the whole part in Paris is crazy. The whole thing is fantastic. I mean, let's start from the beginning. To be honest, the beginning of the movies, the way they trick the guy, it's fantastic. It's amazing. And you go directly into the mood of Mission Impossible. But then when we have the whole thing in Paris, when they go with the halo jump, so they jump from the plane, that scene, the way it was shot, the way it was basically produced, it's fantastic. And what we see in the end as a final result is incredible. I love it, absolutely. It's fantastic. I believe it's an impressive scene, because then after they do the yellow jump, they go inside this club. It's basically a club where there is the rave, and they have to meet Lark to take the place of Lark, and then to meet the arm dealer, the new Max, let's say. But anyway, when they step into the toilet, you see a change of scene. The toilet, it's total white, and it's a completely cut from the previous scene. And then there is this amazing, so well choreographed fighting in the toilet. It's fantastic. It's insane. It's Henry Cavill. There is the detail of Henry Cavill basically loading his punches like two shotgun. It's amazing. The whole scene is so very well choreographed, and so well, so very well shot. And I love the fact that as a comedy element, the way Ethan at some point goes like, "Whoa, slowly, slowly," because of course Lark has a kind of a kung fu kind of way of fighting, and Ethan is not that kind of guy. But anyway, he's like, "Oh, whoa, 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 stop! What's going on?" And I love it. There is an element of comedy in the Mission Impossible movies in this new era. And it's also very well balanced, because if you check out most of the movies that use that element of comedy in action, take for example any Marvel movie, they always break the movie. I mean, when we have the joke is breaking the movie. It's breaking the movie, it's kind of cringe and doesn't work. Here instead, the jokes are more built on the situation. It's not like, oh, now for pacing we have a joke and then there's a joke and you go like, okay, let's get over this, and then you move on. No, the joke is perfectly, it's fitting the scene. It makes sense that it's there, and it's not something that wants to keep your attention high but just want to give a pacing to the scene. And I believe it works very well. And the whole scene in the bathroom is fantastic, and I love the way the movie was built. Even the chasing in Paris with the motorcycle, I believe it works amazingly well. And even the ending, here we have, I believe in Mission Impossible Fallout, we have the actual, let's say, we are crowning Ethan Hunt as the spy of the spy, the king of spy, the actual superhero. Here, Tom Cruise decided, okay, now I made my superhero. Because he talks with the ex-wives, and you understand that he was always looking after her, and he's genuinely happy that she moved on and now she's happy, and he's saving the world for her, for his team, and for this idea that he has, that he has to save the world because it's the right thing to do. And I believe it's fantastic. I believe Fallout is definitely my favorite Mission Impossible. I believe it's the best. And going back to the Final Reckoning, I think it's a solid movie. I gotta rewatch it. To be honest, as soon as I can, I'm gonna rewatch the whole thing. Dead Reckoning and the Final Reckoning. I'm gonna rewatch the whole thing. And I believe they did good. I believe they managed to close the character very well. And I'm gonna spoil a little thing, so if you don't wanna hear any spoiler, leave now. Otherwise, I'm gonna talk about this with spoiler for the last 5 minutes of the episode. So 3, 2, 1, spoilers. So what I loved about the Final Reckoning is that they are not killing off Ethan Hunt. Thank God. I love the choices, this choice, because it's kind of a bummer when you kill off the main character to close the saga. I don't think it's set in stone that you gotta do this by killing off the main character. What I love about those kind of movies is to know at the end that my hero is still out there. Because that's why we go to the movies, to believe in something, to feel a story. And this is not the kind of story where you want to see your hero fail and die tragically to save the day. No. This is the kind of movie where you want to see the hero succeed and win and save himself and save whomever he can save. And I believe the ending is perfect, because in the end, Ethan Hunt, he learned his lesson. He's gonna leave the world. He's gonna discover the world that he's saved so many times, but he's gonna still spend his time in the shadow as Ethan Hunt, as this savior of the world, this last resort. Because it's amazing, the final part where they go like, he actually did it. He said that he was going to do that thing, and he did it. Son of a gun. He did it, he meant to. And it's like, it's poetic, because Tom Cruise is doing the same with movies. He has an objective, and for the love of God, he's doing it. He's actually doing it. So I admire it, honestly. And the character is kind of the same. He's not going to give up, and he's not going to die. And I like to see a movie where at the end they meet in London once again, and they look at each other and they go like, okay, fine, dismissed. And each one of them, they go for their own way, but you still know that Ethan Hunt is out there. At this point, I don't think I want to see another actor playing Ethan Hunt. I'd be more than happy to see the saga end here. I know that the Ethan can come back, but I don't think in Hollywood exists an actor or a producer willing to invest this level of dedication to realize a Mission Impossible. I don't think it exists. There is no chance. I don't think. Because here Tom Cruise is an actor, is a stunt performer, but is as well the producer. He is doing the heavy lifting as well behind the camera. And I don't think out there is someone willing to do that. Because in the moment you leave Mission Impossible with a studio, so you're going to have a producer, an actor playing Ethan. I think what we are going to see in the end is a movie that it's like any other like any other action movie out there. It's probably going to have more VFX that it's supposed to have. It's going to be kind of dull, and it's going to be not that interesting. So I believe just Tom Cruise can play Ethan Hunt in a Mission Impossible. And at this point, I think it's better if we just leave it there. It's fine. I'm at peace with it. We have, how many are? 6, 7 Mission Impossible? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Mission Impossible to watch. So enjoy, to be honest. That's all I can say. I don't think there is another actor that can do that. And to be honest, I would like to see the level of dedication that he has in every action film. What I mean is that I'm disappointed when I watch action movie and I realize that an insane amount of the movie it's VFX. And just a little bit it's actually stunt. And the main character is not actually sacrificing himself in order to learn the choreography and everything else. I believe that if you wanna do action, you gotta be all in. Like Keanu Reeves with John Wick. Keanu Reeves and Tom Cruise are the ultimate Hollywood star. Because when they do something, they go all in. To be honest, if I was an actor, if I was blessed enough to be an actor on set doing stunt and stuff like that, I would try to go all in, to be honest. Because I'm blessed enough to be on a movie set, to play an action hero. And if I can, I'm gonna do everything I can, everything in my power to give to the audience the kind of experience that they can enjoy. And if that has to, and if that means that you have to be on the line, well, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. Otherwise, you don't do it. That's fine. Don't do action movies. Do something else. That's my take. I'd like to see, because many people have done it before. Hong Kong, there is a whole industry that done it before. We have this, the safety, the meaning, and expertise to ensure that nobody on set gets hurt. We can do that, but we gotta be extra precise. We gotta be super. Everybody needs to be prepared, but in the end, it's gonna pay off very well, I believe. If you do a great job, the audience is gonna reward you. If you do a kind of lousy job, that's not like that's not going to work. That's the thing. But anyway, this was my take on the Final Reckoning and on the Mission Impossible saga. So I hope you enjoy. Let me know what do you think in the comment. What's your top 3 Mission Impossible? You like the movie, you didn't like the movie, wherever. Let me know your thoughts. So thank you again for following the Italian Film Podcast, and see you next time. Bye bye.